bit breezy today, but it's nice to get out. Welcome to another video. Well, it's a bit of a different video today because I don't have my camera. Nope, left my camera at home. Just come out for a walk on my local patch while the sun's shining. Quite cloudy overhead, but it's a nice day nonetheless. But I thought what I'd do for this video is just make it a quick little tips and tricks video in Lightroom. So in the last two videos that I did a couple of weeks ago, I went up to the Yorkshire coast, up to Flamborough Head, and while I was up there flying the drone to get footage for the video, I also took it upon myself to do a bit of photography, a bit of drone photography. Yeah, something I haven't really done very much with the drone, but thought I'd give it a go. So I took a few photos, aerial photos, high up of the headland, and I also, with the DJI Mini 3 Pro drone that I have, you've also got the facility to tilt the camera so it's portrait as opposed to landscape. So that's what I did. Took a few photos, I think about 5 or so, and when I got back to my computer, thought I'd bring them into Lightroom, stitch them together, make a lovely panorama and do a little bit of editing. So that's what I thought I'd show you today. So in a minute I'll open up Lightroom when I get back home, and I'll talk you through my editing process. Really quick and easy to do in Lightroom. I'm aware that DJI drones also have the facility to stitch panoramas actually in the software, in the actual drone, but I was too busy flying and didn't really go too much into the settings. I literally just hovered the drone, took a picture, rotated, took another, rotated, did that 4 or 5 times, knowing that I can take the raw files back to my computer, bring them into Lightroom, stitch them seamlessly quite easily in Lightroom, and do any color correction and exposure settings. So stay tuned, that's coming up shortly. I'll show you how I did it, nice and quick and easy, and I'll show you the results. Okay, so I'm in Lightroom now, and as you can see, I've already got my 7 images all preloaded in. So what I'm going to do is just select all the images, and then if you go up to the menu, choose photo, photo merge and panorama, Lightroom should pretty much do its thing, and there you go. Create a little preview. With these kind of landscape panoramas, cylindrical is always the option that tends to work best. As you can see, can't do the perspective one anyway, but cylindrical is doing a pretty good job. I'm going to check auto crop, which will save me a bit of a job, but I'm going to uncheck auto settings and create a stack. I want this to create just one flat image, and I'm going to edit it afterwards, so we don't need any auto settings. So then, when we're all ready, just click merge and wait for Lightroom to do its thing. You can see the top left hand corner of my menu bar. There's the background task menu bar, which is just showing the process that Lightroom's doing in the background, and hopefully it should do a pretty good job. And yeah, and there's our panorama image. So if we just click on that, doesn't look too bad. Just zoom in, you can see the kind of detail that it's got already. See the old lighthouse up on Flamborough Head, and then the new lighthouse. And this was taken early morning. If you've seen my earlier video where I actually shot this, you know that it's just after sunrise. So the sun's quite low and it's casting a really beautiful light on the cliffs and the headland there. So when we're ready, jump into the develop module and let's just see if we can tweak some of this image. Now these processes, which I tend to do straight away, is I do this a lot for my landscape images. I'm just going to gently underexpose slightly, hopefully bring some of those details back in the sky, and with that reduce the highlights. I'm going to raise the shadows. Now these are global changes that I do. They're only going to be slight changes, and then once I'm happy with that, I will start using masks. I do a lot of my editing with the help of mask, which is such a powerful tool in Lightroom. Put a bit of more luminosity into the image, so I'm just going to raise the whites, just drop the blacks a little bit, and then had a bit of punch with vibrance. Tend not to use saturation all that much, tend to prefer vibrance. Saturation will do the global change almost, and you start to get into really unnatural looking images. So saturation is usually kept around 0, but I tend to just punch a little bit in using vibrance. That's looking good. Right now I'm just going to jump in some masks, and straight away I'm going to reach for a linear mask and just draw that in for the sky. Reduce exposure slightly, reduce highlights, increase the shadows, and that's just going to bring that bit more detail in, and that's looking quite good. Now you'll see over on the left hand side of the corner of the image, that was where the sun was rising, and the sky just had a little bit of warmth in there, so I'm going to reach for a radial gradient, and I'm just going to put in a smallish radial gradient there and see if we can just change the color temperature slightly to put a little warmth in. Reduce the highlights, and that's good, that's looking good. Gonna get another mask, and I just make this quite big, and I want to just make the shadows on those cliffs a little bit lighter so we can see a bit more detail. So again, raising the shadows, raise the exposure ever so slightly, and add a little bit more warmth in the color temperature in the auto balance there, and yeah, just so it's not as drastic. I want this panorama to look as though it's a single image rather than separate images stitched together. And obviously the camera exposed a lot differently over on the left because that was facing the sun a little bit more. So from here I just need to adjust and balance that colour a little bit more. And actually I'm just going to try and see if that sun mask will take a little bit more saturation to warm up. What I tend to do with this, I tend to go quite extreme and just see and then pull it back. And I think it probably just needs the highlights drop in. There we go. Drop those highlights, because it was blowing out a little bit there in the exposure. But it's actually looking quite nice, warming up. It's obviously too much, but it's not looking too bad. And that's balancing up quite nicely with the sunlight on the top of these cliffs over here. Okay, not too bad. Right, I'm going to go for another radial gradient and put that over the sea in this bottom left hand corner, because again it's looking a little bit dark and I want to try and lift that up a tad. So that's on the exposure, a bit of whites, reduce the blacks, which gives me a bit of contrast. And then I'm just going to change the colour temperature a little bit, try and put make it a little bit cooler, try and put a little bit more blue in there so that it balances up with the sea colour over on the right hand side. Okay, that's not looking too bad. Now the whole bottom of the sea is looking quite dark, so I'm not sure whether this is going to work, but let me just try it. I'm going to do another linear gradient from the bottom, working up to probably just over the beach. And again, just raise the exposure ever so slightly. I'm only on a third of a stop, maybe, pulling it up. Raise the shadows. Again, I'm just going to reduce the colour temperature, -6, just to put a little bit more blue in it. Then let's raise the whites, see if we can get, oh no, we'll not reduce the whites. Okay, how are we looking? That's not looking too bad at all. I'm not sure whether it needs much more doing to it, to be honest. I think I might just warm that beach up a little. Let's go for another radial gradient. Put that over the beach. Raise the exposure slightly. Want to increase the whites a little. Just try and bring some of those rocks and that surf out. In fact, let's make that a little bit slightly bigger so it goes into. Okay, now go into colour temperature again. Just make that warmer. And as you can see, that's starting to blend in. Obviously that's too much, but you can see it's starting to blend in the beach a little bit more with the colour of the cliffs and the sunlight hitting the cliffs. That's pretty much it, I think. Looking good. You can, when you zoom in, you can really start to see some of the detail, you know, the steps. Some of the texture in the rock. So let's just increase the sharpening a little, because these are effectively shot as raw files. So as part of the sharpening, I'm going to just increase the masking up to around about 20, 30. And you can see, if you hold down the Alt key, you can see what that masking is affecting. So the more that you mask, because I don't really want it to go sharpening the sky and things like that, I just want it to sharpen some of the cliffside. So let's probably leave it around about 40. Okay, so that's just going to apply a little bit of sharpening. I'm up to about 55 on the sharpening, but I've masked out all the smooth areas. And then last thing to do, just add a little touch of manual noise reduction on the luminance side. So actually see in the photograph there, it's picked up the moon, which is kind of nice. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found it useful, and let me know. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything else that you'd like me to show you how to do in Lightroom when it comes to editing landscape photographs, or anything else about these videos. Please let me know what you think, and till the next time, bye for now.